Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
Whew. Yibei stopped suddenly. The aura exuding from his body was too strong. Cold and turbulent, at a certain moment, it seemed that all the mutant beasts around had fallen into the bottom of a 1,000-year-old frozen valley. Even the outstanding global soldiers who were captured suddenly felt a chill in their backs. Wong, what happened? Roar. Feeling something was wrong, the golden lion rushed to Yibei, growled in his mouth, and asked with a bit of fear in his eyes. Yeah, Wong, why did you stop? Zizi. Wangwen also moved quickly, telling him intuitively that Yibei must have encountered a major event. King. Chunhua Qiuyue, looking for fun. All the mutant beasts looked towards Yibei, shouting. This time Yibei's changes were really abnormal, and they all felt something wrong. Even the captured humans, as well as Tony. We are in danger. It will not be long before humans will launch nuclear weapons here. It is possible that the entire Sahara Oasis will be completely wiped from the earth, and all life will not survive. Chi. Yibei spit out Shinzi, and didn't hide it. What? It was just that his words fell, and the surrounding mutant beasts and humans were all shaken. Tony and the others stared wide-eyed. Those soldiers who were captured were all incredulous and pale. The tens of thousands of mutant beasts trembled crazily. In the recent period, they have followed humans to learn, and they naturally know the power and terror of nuclear bombs. Once humans actually launch nuclear weapons, the consequences will be absolutely unimaginable. Wong, this is impossible. The Sahara Oasis is so big. If mankind really wants to erase the entire oasis, at least dozens of nuclear weapons would be needed. A mutant monkey jumped out. Yes, we have thought about the launch of nuclear weapons before. If they were launched, it would have a huge impact on the entire planet, and even countless humans would pay a heavy price for this. Do they really ignore the same race? Another mutant monkey said. Impossible. How could it be possible to launch nuclear weapons? They absolutely cannot give up ours. A soldier hissed. Click. However, a reticulated python entrenched next to him directly opened his mouth and bit his neck. Wow. The surrounding sounds are loud and mixed. The fact of launching nuclear weapons is crazy. These mutant beasts have to discuss. Haha. But when the discussion among these guys was the most intense, Yibei's cold eyes swept over them. I said humans will do this, then they will do it. You don't understand humans at all. Yibei's tone was very decisive. At this time, all the mutant beasts didn't dare to talk nonsense and instinctively told them, just trust Yibei. Wong, what should we do? Nuclear weapons are weapons of mass destruction unless we stay away from here completely now. Yes, human beings are too frantic. There is nothing they can't do. If I have the opportunity, I will eat them all. There must be a way, there must be. The mutant beasts are anxious. When the captured soldiers saw this, there was some contempt in their desperate eyes. Even now, they are unwilling to believe that humans will actually drop nuclear bombs on the Sahara Desert. After seeing these gazes, Yibei was intent on killing. Swallow all of these prisoners first. Don't keep one. Isn't it nuclear weapons? It won't hurt me. Chi. Yibei spit out a scarlet letter. The tone was full of killing intent. Since humans are about to put nuclear weapons, he doesn't need to be polite. These soldiers have been thoroughly brainwashed, and they are just a burden.
Yes.
Yes, King.
Yes.
But after listening to these mutant beasts, they were overjoyed, and all the nuclear weapons were thrown aside. But when the captured soldiers heard this, they all seemed to understand what was going on, and they all became angry. Asshole, don't you just want to find an excuse to kill us? Fight with these mutant beasts. It was Ding Zhuang who roared. When he was in the crowd before, he had been very low-key and did not dare to speak at all. But now, knowing that he was going to die, great courage suddenly rose from the bottom of his heart. Yes, we are humans, and the above will definitely not give up on us. The so-called nuclear weapons are just an excuse for these animals to devour us. Anyway, we are going to die. It is better to die with glory. Zhou Yuhang's eyes were red. Kill. Fight with them. For humanity. For glory. Only in a moment, all the captured humans began to fight back frantically. It is a pity that they have lost their weapons. Their physical fitness is too weak for the mutant beasts. Puff. Ding Zhuang's voice just fell, and a mutant wild boar immediately pierced his chest with sharp fangs. Booming. Zhou Yuhang didn't even have time to take a step, and he became the food in the mouth of a mutant dog. Click, click. The killing on the scene rose frantically, clicking, and the sound of clicking kept. The strong smell of blood spread unscrupulously in the air. Really a sad group of humans. For glory? Ibe squinted his eyes, leaning on his side, watching quietly. At the beginning, there was still a wave of waves in his heart, but as more and more humans died, Ibe's mentality became more and more calm. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. In just the past 10 seconds, all the captured humans were swallowed. When the bright red blood fell on the ground, it was immediately absorbed by the living tree. The mutant beasts, after swallowing these humans, showed a slightly satisfied expression one by one. There are also some mutant beasts, quietly turning their eyes on Tony and the others, scaring them like white paper. Wong, these humans have all been swallowed, but the mutant birds are still transporting here. What shall we do next? The golden lion's mouth is full of bright red blood. Just now, he swallowed at least 5 humans. I will take care of the mutated birds, and I immediately worry that everyone will gather for me in this position. Ibe spit out the letter. When talking, the vines of the living big tree squirmed and shrank quickly creating an empty field on the ground. Yes, King. Golden Lion went to execute immediately. When I saw all the mutant beasts gathered in an orderly manner, Ibe released his spiritual power domain and began to communicate with the living tree. At the same time, in Ibe's mind, a nuclear bomb countdown by the system suddenly appeared. Countdown. 21:180. The number in front is constantly beating, which means the time is being consumed. The number behind is fixed, which means the total time. When 21 increases to 300, it means that nuclear weapons will completely explode in the Sahara Desert. Living trees, mankind has used the strongest power this time. It seems that their IQs are really good. They are aware of the great threat our existence poses to them. However, nuclear weapons cannot penetrate thousands of meters underground, just like before. You protect the roots yourself. In addition, I allow your roots to spread freely on the earth, or even cover the entire earth. A huge mental power came out of Ibe's mind and communicated with the living tree. He wanted to turn the living tree into a tree of the earth, and when the opportunity came, let this tree control all living things on the earth. Ibe had absolutely no such thoughts before, but this time humans launched nuclear weapons, which completely made Ibe feel angry. Yes, King. The living tree was overjoyed after receiving Ibe's order. Countdown. 58. 180. Ibe's mental power domain is still unleashing crazily. Listen to all the mutant birds. Don't chase the helicopter anymore. Return immediately. The sooner the better.
Yes.
The mutant birds heard Ibe's order without any hesitation, waving their wings, and flew toward here quickly. However, most of the mutant birds were too far away because they were chasing helicopters, and in only more than 100 seconds left, they couldn't come back at all, which made Ibe's eyes more murderous. Human beings, sooner or later, will pay a heavy price for today's behavior. On the human side, the Global Security Conference Center. The 5 gangsters sat in front of the computer and kept making calls. The other heads of state, with cold sweats on their foreheads, quietly waited for the latest news. Globally, the major forces that monitor the Sahara Desert are just about to move at this moment. What's the matter? All the mutant birds chasing the helicopters all ran away? Ben, sitting in front of the computer, was very puzzled, but the cold smiles on his face became more and more. It's okay to run. Those helicopters, I can't hold it anymore. I hope that the soldiers I hired will have the opportunity. As long as they get back a little gene, they will succeed. It's a terrible power. Those mutant beasts and living trees are too strong. It's a pity that the government intervenes forcibly. Otherwise, if you publish these things, Our news company will definitely make money. On the news company's side, the man who was in charge of viewing the video transmitted by the satellite murmured. The helicopters are retreating. But it's weird. Does the medicine have no effect on those living trees? There is no sign of withering at all. Damn, I haven't enjoyed enough yet. Is the government eating shit? Why hasn't it moved yet? In addition to this, the news company, the powerful forces around the world, have roared. But soon, these forces discovered something was wrong. A missile flew towards the Sahara Desert. The intercontinental missile, the Megars, came from China. Why don't other countries intercept it? Russia too. This one is from France. A world war? When they observed a large number of intercontinental missiles in the air, the people in charge of these forces exclaimed again and again. An unprecedented fear madly spread in their hearts. And at the Global Security Conference Center, the UN Secretary-General, along with all heads of state, is starting the final countdown. 60, 59, 58. Every time they count a number, the more cold sweat on their foreheads. This time, the 5 gangsters launched a total of 100 nuclear weapons into the Sahara Desert and the intensive delivery. This amount is unprecedented. If they are scattered, the entire Earth will instantly become the end of the world. But even so, the consequences are very serious. Radioactive dust will enter the atmosphere and cover the entire Earth for 40 years. All mankind will suffer huge disasters, and even beyond all disasters. But these heads of state can no longer think so much. The first 2 missions failed. This time, even if they paid the heaviest price, they would raze the entire Sahara to the ground. Of course, deep in their hearts, they still felt deeply disturbed. 30, 19. The farther behind, the heads of these countries, when they count the numbers, the louder and more tidy their voices become. Whether it can succeed or not is here in one fell swoop. 10, 9, 8. The countdown has reached the last few seconds. The body of the Black President of the United States began to tremble crazily. Whoosh whoosh. And in the Sahara Oasis, Yibei's spiritual power domain directly covered a 100-kilometer range. In the last few seconds, he finally saw dense intercontinental missiles carrying nuclear weapons rushing towards the Sahara Oasis. With so many, human beings are really crazy. Aren't they afraid of ruining the entire Earth? After roughly observing the number, Yibei experienced a huge shock in his heart. But at this time, he couldn't help thinking about other things. Death Forest, open, roar. A loud roar broke out in his mouth. Chi-chi. In the next instant, in front of Yibei, a huge distorted space appeared directly, and from it, there was a terrible suction. Everyone, get in right away, the sooner the better. Yibei continued. Although all the mutant beasts had a lot of fear in their eyes, after hearing Yibei's command, they still rushed into the distorted space at the fastest speed. 1,000, 10,000. The countdown continues. 295, 300. In the last 5 seconds, there were only more than 500 mutant birds flying back, and half of them were waving their wings with all their strength. 20,000, 50,000. The speed of the mutant beast army is very fast. 299, 300. Laugh. Yibei's eyes were wide. At the Global Security Conference Center, the leaders of those countries are also extremely nervous. Watching the live video fed back from the satellite, all their clothes are soaked in sweat. 100 nuclear weapons. This is unprecedented. Rumble. Finally, the first intercontinental missile exploded in the Sahara Desert, and a huge mushroom cloud rose into the air. Across the screen, the leaders of these countries seemed to be able to hear the rumbling explosion. Rumble. Boom, boom, boom. 1, 10, 20. Then, densely packed nuclear weapons exploded frantically in the Sahara Desert. The Global Security Conference Center was extremely quiet at this moment. It was not until after all 100 nuclear weapons exploded that the Black President of the United States slowly spoke, with a weak voice. Have we succeeded? Boom, 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 boom. In the Sahara Desert, Clusters of mushroom clouds continued to explode in the center, generating tens of thousands of degrees of high temperature. Although the vines of the living tree are powerful, in such a high temperature, they instantly turn to ashes. The radioactive fluctuations are impacting layer by layer. Elite soldiers from various countries are flying helicopters. Realizing that the nuclear bomb exploded, all his eyes were filled with unwillingness and anger, but unfortunately it had no effect and died instantly. Global Security Conference Center. It's very quiet inside, but the telephones placed on the table by the heads of countries kept ringing. All our reports on the situation in the Sahara. United States, White House office. The black president slumped in his seat in cold sweat, holding a phone in his hand, and it was a nuclear weapon expert who called, reporting on the impact of the Sahara Desert. Your Excellency, the amount of radioactive dust produced by this explosion is unprecedented. It will not take long for a powerful storm to sweep the world. However, according to our inspections, the existence of large living trees seems to resist a lot of radioactive materials. Once we are lucky, it will only have some impact on the countries near the Sahara Desert, and the entire human race will not cause too much shock and death because of this. During the call, the most sophisticated experts in the United States quickly analyzed it when they received the information from the Sahara. What about those mutant beasts and living plants? The black president asked in a deep voice, his eyes extremely cold. This is 100 nuclear weapons. Although I don't know what caused the living tree to withstand some radioactive materials, at this level of offensiveness, absolutely no creatures can survive over there. President, I can do that. Sure. The voice on the phone was very firm. Call. After hearing this, the black president wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. 100 nuclear bombs. To be honest, his heart was extremely nervous when it was launched just now. This amount was beyond his imagination. Very good. Continue to check the situation there. Once there is an abnormality, report it immediately. After the black president said, he directly hung up the phone. This is true in all major countries. After receiving the analysis of the battlefield, the heads of all countries breathed a sigh of relief. At least this explosion did not cause much harm to mankind, and everything was within controllable range. 100 nuclear bombs are too scary. I have to thank the living tree for absorbing a large amount of radioactive material. Otherwise, the entire human race will really be finished in their own hands. Conference Center. The Secretary General of the United Nations, who had been holding back for a long time, finally wiped out the haze on his face after receiving some news. Clearing his throat, a long-lost smile appeared on his face. Everyone, tell you the good news. Facts have proved that 100 nuclear weapons have not caused much impact on our human beings. After all, mankind is lucky. The living tree resisted a lot of nuclear radiation, and the whole tree there are also mutant beasts, all of whom have died. According to the latest analysis of experts, the impact of the nuclear explosion on the Earth only lasts for 3 months. After 3 months, everything will return to normal again. Now we are changing our routines. How to announce this to the public and hide it? When I spoke, my voice became louder. They are calm here, and they begin to share the joy of victory. But all the major forces in the world are silent at this moment. Ben sat paralyzed in front of the computer, his eyes widened, and he kept muttering to himself, "How dare those release nuclear weapons, and there are still so many. How dare they do this? News Corp, it's terrible. The politicians are really ruthless. With so many nuclear bombs, do you want to destroy the whole world?" Although he said so, there was a hint of luck on his face. Fortunately, he did not openly confront the government and report indiscriminately. Otherwise, it is estimated that the entire News Corporation will inevitably be assassinated by agents. In addition to them, the global underground forces are in an uproar. Countless dangerous organizations, at this moment, all become honest. The telephones in the offices of major heads of state kept ringing. Some superpowers have infiltrated one after another, wanting to find out exactly what is going on. Those who came out of Lost Island were all startled when they learned that 100 nuclear bombs had occurred on the Sahara. King. When the old patriarch heard the news, He knelt on the ground with a plop, tears raging. Impossible. It is absolutely impossible for the king to die like this. Damn human beings. Bang, bang, bang. A young lost tribe, crying bitterly, kept hitting the floor with his forehead, making a banging sound. The nuclear bomb can't kill the snake god. He must be alive. We have waited for thousands of years and don't care about this time. There was water mist in the eyes of Dee, and when she heard the news, her whole body became much more tranced. The lost tribe was angry. However, with their current wisdom, after serious consideration, they all decided to continue to hide in the human world, leaving the Green Hills, not afraid of not having firewood, and waiting for the beast gods to reappear when they have mastered enough power. No one can deal with them. Sahara nuclear explosion. Although major countries have tried their best to prevent the leakage of this news, the major forces and organizations are also clever not to mention a word. But the impact of this incident is really too great. After some small forces learned of this incident, they didn't even consider the consequences, and they were exposed as quickly as they had obtained the treasure. Paper can't contain fire. As a result, a large number of small newspapers reported frantically in order to gain sales. Crazy, 10 minutes ago, the Sahara Desert was hit by 100 nuclear weapons, and the entire desert became wasteland. The consequences of 100 nuclear weapons, in the next 40 years, all mankind will pay the price. Condemn all major nuclear-armed countries. Nuclear weapons are not omnipotent and hurt others and themselves. In addition to text narratives, some of these reports also carried some relatively vague photos. But even so, after this incident broke out, the sales of newspapers increased countless times in an instant, and people all over the world were very concerned about nuclear weapons, not to mention that this time it was 100. As a result, the whole world was in an uproar. Those ordinary humans didn't even know that such a terrible thing happened just before. And what really detonated public opinion was a very special website. WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks, which has been silent for a long time, also broke out terrible information today. Li Dong is an elite media person. The usual job is to dig out valuable news and make countless people pay for it. Because of this, he has also developed the ability to fabricate fake news. Just today, an opponent of the company he worked for actually came up with the news of the Sahara nuclear explosion, and when the news was reported, Li Dong felt that his IQ had been greatly hit. 100 nuclear weapons exploded in the Sahara Desert just to eliminate aliens. Yes, it is such a news headline. Attaching a few blurry pictures of the flight of an intercontinental missile has doubled the sales of the newspaper. The people are really cheating, but this also shows that the more exaggerated and nonsense the news, the more they like to pay attention. The most important thing is that many other news companies have also participated this time. If you misreport this kind of incident, aren't you afraid of being investigated? Li Dong muttered to himself, with disdain in his eyes, thinking that his opponent could do anything for the sake of sales. If there is such a thing, it will definitely be exposed on WikiLeaks. Muttered to himself. Speaking of WikiLeaks, Li Dong showed a smile on his face. Over the years, I have been able to continuously obtain the latest news, many of which are inseparable from WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks is a very mysterious website. Even the US intelligence agency does not know where this website is located, and even hackers around the world cannot break it. Every time you go in, you have to go through several special jumps, and Li Dong happens to be one of the people who knows how to get in. Happiness. Sitting in the office, his fingers tapped on the computer. As if to verify that his point of view was correct, Li Dong muttered to himself as he tapped, "I hope WikiLeaks must be updated," but then again, it seems that it has not been updated for a long time. A springboard. 5 springboards. Then, Li Dong entered a black interface with a strange eye pattern on it. Call. After seeing this pattern, Li Dong felt cold all over. Although he had seen it many times before, it is still the same now. This eye seems to be releasing some magic power forever. Laugh. Finally, the eye opened, and the pupils continued to enlarge. The original black interface, after the eyes were enlarged, the 4 characters, WikiLeaks, appeared in it, and then news articles began to appear. Based on Li Dong's understanding of this eye, it is probably just It was this magical eye that saw the nature of the world clearly and then announced the truth to the public. Have the news been announced? Li Dong opened his eyes wide, and his breathing became a little quick at this moment. The mouse refreshes decisively. Okay. Sure enough, there was an update message, but after seeing the news, Li Dong was confused. The title name is not very long. On the contrary, the text above is very simple. Sahara Desert Incident. Did something really happen? The nuclear explosion is real? But how is this possible? 100 nuclear bombs. If it really explodes, that kind of radioactive dust will be enough to destroy the entire Earth. Huh. Li Dong breathed heavily, his complexion a little hot. For so many years, every news published by this mysterious website, WikiLeaks, is absolutely true and reliable. Fingers trembled. Li Dong clicked on the news headline. The content inside is all in English, but for Li Dong, it is not difficult at all. In the news, the graphic method is adopted. There are moving pictures and static pictures. Below each picture, use a paragraph of text to explain. After opening the news, the first picture is a 5-second animation. This is. When Li Dong clicked on the picture, Li Dong was directly dumbfounded. Because this is a high-definition animated picture, the scene displayed inside is exactly the situation of a living tree on the Sahara Desert. The endless living tree. Countless vines seem to have come alive, constantly dancing, looking like science fiction movies. All are incredible. If this picture does not appear on WikiLeaks, Li Dong would definitely think it is a certain super special effects movie. Keep watching, there are notes below. Li Dong swallowed his saliva. Before the animation was finished, his attention jumped directly to the text below. Living big trees with vitality. All tree vines can move, covering the entire surface of the Sahara Desert and constantly purifying the Earth's air environment at all times. But its vines are terrifying to living things. Its aggressiveness can be reproduced by roots and seeds, and cannot be killed unless its roots can be erased at the same time. There are not many text annotations, but this text clearly depicts the terrible living tree. What are you kidding? It covers the entire desert without killing it? After reading it, Li Dong jumped up directly from the seat, and the word alien life immediately appeared in his mind. But this piece of information is very much. Li Dong, trembling hands, trying to calm down, clicked the mouse and continued to flip down. The second one is also a dynamic picture, and the duration reaches 10 seconds. Picture in high definition. Among them, the densely packed huge birds rose up from the area covered by living trees, and the sky was full of gunship helicopters. Those birds were not afraid of helicopters and rushed up fiercely. Their sharp and hard claws instantly he smashed the window of a helicopter and then grabbed the pilot inside. The helicopter fell and was entangled by the living big tree vines below. This is definitely a fact, not a science fiction movie. Li Dong felt that his head was not enough, and cold sweat continued to erupt on his forehead. His complexion gradually turned from flushing to pale. The two small animations were really too great for him. Hurried to read the notes. Mutated birds, including seagulls, flying eagles, and even mutated sparrows. After mutated, their body size will increase from several to hundreds of times, and their attack power and IQ will all be greatly improved. The gunship, which is far more sexual than humans, is one of the creatures in the entire mutant army. After reading this piece of information, Li Dong felt that there was a huge secret hidden in it. Living plants, mutant birds, mutant beast army, extremely high IQ. These things are completely beyond the scope of his thinking. However, this piece of information is very long, and Li Dong did not hesitate to continue looking down. Since WikiLeaks has released it, there must be enough evidence. In fact, people like Li Dong are not a few in the world. When the Sahara Desert incident was declassified, the traffic of this website soared to more than 1 million in an instant. Li Dong used the mouse to pull down. The third picture is also an animated picture, but this time, there is only a silver-white snake. The picture in the picture shows the little snake entrenched on a green vine, and the scarlet letter is continuously spit out from its mouth. What kind of snake is this snake? I have never seen it before. Is it also a mutant beast? Li Dong muttered to himself. However, the picture in the picture suddenly moved. Countless helicopters appeared, shooting frantically at this little snake. Rumble. Immediately afterwards, a group of extremely huge flames suddenly appeared, instantly burning countless helicopters into ashes, and another part of the helicopters fled frantically. This scene came too suddenly, and the silver-white little snake and tree vines all disappeared. The helicopter was swallowed by flames, and the little snake was attacked frantically? What is going on? Why I don't understand it all. Li Dong swallowed. I don't know why. He always feels that this little snake makes him more scared than the mutant birds before. Quickly go through the notes below. The mutant snake. I don't know the species. It is the king of the entire mutant beast army. According to certain information, this snake can not only move freely in the water, but the body can also become larger and smaller at will. As for the limit, there is currently no detailed information. Analyzing the data, one thing can be determined. This snake can control a living tree. According to other judgments, this snake can also release a terrible flame. Like just now, it will instantly burn hundreds of helicopters. What? After reading this piece of data, Li Dong, who had turned extremely pale, suddenly had a smile on his face. Ha ha ha, this is too funny. A little snake destroyed so many helicopters. What is WikiLeaks doing? I'm sure it was not hacked by hackers. Use some special effects to synthesize these videos. Li Dong didn't believe it anymore. The first two animations may make him feel incredible, but the more bizarre they go to the back. The information continues. The following picture shows the Sahara Desert being bombed by 100 nuclear weapons. However, Li Dong didn't believe it at all. The number of people watching WikiLeaks in the world exceeds 1 million, and only a few people do not believe it, because so far, WikiLeaks has never exploded any fake news in it, and it is impossible to be hacked. Some elites immediately analyze the video after watching the video. It is easy to determine that these videos are all shot in high-definition satellite, and there is no synthesis at all. There are only a few that are similar to Li Dong. When Li Dong sneered at this kind of thing, the information exploded by WikiLeaks finally began to circulate wildly on ordinary networks, like a flood, unmatched. Hwasyaegwa, TX News homepage, directly made a big banner. WikiLeaks explosion. The mystery of the Sahara Desert, blockbuster or doomsday. It's up to you to judge. TX has come forward. However, this guy, as always a rogue, directly threw the pot to WikiLeaks for the first few words, as if they were simply forwarding the TX news, but Taya popped up on QQ again. Donghae City. Yishan leaned on the office chair, gently sliding the mouse with his fingers. His expression on his face was rather ugly. During the recent period, he has been under a lot of pressure. The original plan to kill Yi Bei caused too much trouble after all. But after seeing the news from the QQ pop-up window, he was calmer again. Click it easily. Living plants, mutant beasts, nuclear bombs. After reading the pictures, Yishan's face showed a cold smile. TX is really shameless, as always. If it's correct, these pictures must be for the promotion of a foreign special effects movie. Go back to WikiLeaks. Really bullshit. If it is really a mutant beast, then come on. It just happens that I have been very depressed during this period of time, and I will not kill them all. Snapped. After speaking, Yishan turned off the computer, with some killing intent in his eyes. In Donghae City, in a suburban villa, Guyu was lying on the sofa, and she seemed to lose her strength. On the big screen TV in the lobby, content from WikiLeaks is playing. 100 nuclear weapons. They really dare to do it. Are human beings so crazy? In order to achieve the goal, everything can be done. Why can't he give him a chance to live? The voice was hoarse, with water mist in his eyes. Guyu had just returned from the Atlantic Ocean. He didn't see Yi Bei, but he heard such a news. She couldn't accept it at all. If it were before, Guyu would definitely not believe these pictures. But after contacting Blood Moon, she knew that there were so many incredible things in this world. These pictures are absolutely true. Guyu, the king may not die. My apostle Mark and I have not disappeared, but he can't feel his existence at all for the time being. But this happens often, last time for 5 consecutive months. Shueyue opened her mouth, her voice a little sharp. When I spoke, my eyes were full of bloodshot eyes. Although I said that, in my heart, Blood Moon's heart was still full of anger, and I wished to rush out now. All human beings would be swallowed frantically. 100 nuclear weapons exploded at the same time, and the entire Sahara Desert was razed to the ground, with no grass growing. Can he really survive? Guyu's face turned pale, and her body trembled badly. Wow. The speed of news fermentation is too fast. China State, America, United Kingdom, France, Russia. Those videos were transmitted to almost everyone. Although most people didn't believe it, when many people applied to travel around the Sahara, they were directly rejected, and they all felt something unusual. Coupled with the global impact of the Sahara nuclear explosion, a large part of mankind can detect it. The breath in the air became cold. Many children who died just after birth. Major countries suddenly canceled flights and prohibited any flights in the air. It seems that the whole world has become depressed in an instant, and the feeling of crisis spreads in everyone's hearts. As a result, those humans who are hiding at home can only continue to vent on the internet. Government conspiracy. The end of mankind is coming. The Sahara Desert is forbidden to travel, and international routes are suspended. We need the truth. What is going on, as a member of human beings, don't even have the right to know. News and posts in a mess on major websites have sprung up. Then, coupled with the instigation of some caring people, especially in the US, there were wave after wave of parades, and even the White House was blocked by those crazy citizens. Then, in a state of last resort, the UN Secretary General took the lead and had to convene a global security conference again. At the same time, in the dead forest, there is another situation. In the dead forest. Wow. There are too many living plants here, and the grasses on the ground are like sharp blades. When Yibei evolved into the silver-white Titan python, he once completely destroyed the death forest for experimental power, but as time passed, all the plants grew rapidly. The nuclear bomb erupted at the last moment. Yibei and most of the mutant beasts all hid in. However, there are still nearly 500 mutant birds that were blown to ashes because they were too late to return because they were chasing the helicopter. Wong. This time human beings are really too much. They use nuclear weapons. I must eat them all. Roar. The golden lion roar broke out. Eyes are red. All mutant beasts are like this now. Killing intent is boiling on their bodies, and there is a trace of sadness in the air. As for the magic of the death forest, they didn't even care. Even Tony and others, too. At the last moment, the densely packed intercontinental missiles carrying nuclear weapons flew from the air with a huge whistling sound, terrifying, and even for a moment, they all felt that they were dead. Seeing these mutant beasts again, after the atmosphere was suppressed because of the death of hundreds of mutant birds, Tony and others felt deeply sad for humans. We must know that this nuclear weapon killed more humans. Will those in power in those countries feel sad and depressed about this? Yeah, Wong, with so many nuclear weapons, mankind has been immortal with us. I think this is our best time to fight back. They must have never thought that most of us are still alive. Chi-Chi. Wangwen uttered a letter. It's unbelievable. 100 nuclear weapons and the radioactive dust produced will destroy the entire planet. Human beings are really brave, King. What do we do now? Said a mutant monkey. In his eyes, killing intent was everywhere, and it was also a look that he could not wait to rush into the human world immediately and kill like crazy. Call. Yibei took a deep breath. To be honest, he never dreamed that he would be attacked by nuclear weapons one day. A year ago, I was an elite in the human world. The change of identity completely allowed Yibei to enter a new world without any retreat. Everyone is resting here now. All the outside is radioactive material. If we go out at this time, we can't bear it. After the radioactive material dissipates, we start to fight back. Humans have killed so many mutant birds this time. I will definitely make them pay the heaviest price for this. Hey. When Yibei spoke, his icy eyes swept across these mutant beasts. Humanity. As time went on, Yibei felt more and more despicable for this race. In order to accomplish the goal, He did not hesitate to sacrifice a large number of the same kind, and even the environment that he could survive was destroyed, and even the safety of the earth was ignored. It was crazy to the extreme. Yes, King.
Yes. Yes.
Wang Wan, Golden Lion, Chunhua Qyu, and fun-seeking mutant beasts answered. Yes, now all the outside is radiation, and it is impossible to get out. But when everyone was quiet, a mutant monkey ran to Yi Bei. Wang, this place is so strange. Is this a space? This reminds me of the white area on the experimental island, but the plants here did not attack us. The monkey has a very small voice. The eyes are full of doubts. After the other mutant beasts calmed down, they began to carefully observe the surrounding environment. The endless forest. Various living plants around. All are of different kinds. These living plants live harmoniously in this space, without competing with each other. Reminiscent of the big living tree in the desert, everyone's heart is shocked to the extreme. If we continue to develop like this, let a living plant be planted on a certain planet, and we only need the same race to order it to continue to multiply. You can easily control that planet. This method is simply terrifying. This is called the dead forest. All the plants in it are living, and I also obeyed my orders. Many ordinary beasts came here once before, and they didn't adapt to the desert environment. Chi-Chi, Yi Bei said calmly. Unbelievable place. Here, no matter how powerful humans are, they can't kill us all by any means. The mutant monkey was excited. Everyone rest quietly, waiting for the opportunity. Don't hurt the living plants around you. Wow. When Yi Bei spoke, his mind moved a little, and a large number of vines immediately wrapped his body. Form a circular cocoon. Those mutant beasts gathered together in different races. The human world. Because of the explosion of news on the internet, major countries are exhausted, and all the information is true. So, the Global Security Conference was held again. It was held 3 times in a single year. This is something that has never happened since mankind appeared. Everyone, it's really incredible. Although we have one, the people all over the world don't seem to be satisfied with it. They need a truth. On the internet, in reality, there are countless people who are fanning the flames, but fortunately, according to the intelligence obtained from the major countries, the leaders of the large forces are very honest and have not blended in. The ones that are blended in are all medium-sized forces. They can't distinguish the importance of things. The ignorant, fearless. The meeting had just begun. The UN Secretary General stood in the middle with a helpless expression, spreading his hands when speaking. In the past few days, in order to deal with these things, countries have long been very busy. But after hearing the words of the UN Secretary General, many of these leaders showed some smiles. I have never experienced that kind of despair, and I can never realize the excitement after victory. At least, humans are still alive now. In this world, the truth is always in the hands of a few people. As long as our countries unite and act in unison, those medium-sized and small-sized forces will naturally understand. As for the WikiLeaks website, they also broke a lot of news before, but it affected not big. After all, human beings are forgetful creatures. The British Prime Minister spoke. I agree with the British Prime Minister's opinion that this incident can only be suppressed by our countries working together. The French president speaks. The 3 big hooligans of the United States, Russia, and China all remained quiet at this time. Wow. But those small countries discussed very intensely. The story of the protagonist leading the army and attacking humans is coming soon. I will talk about it. Conference Center. The heads of the major countries discussed extremely intensely. More than an hour passed, and the most feasible solution appeared. The Secretary General of the United Nations personally explained this method. Everyone, according to your analysis, the best way is now? First, find the most famous director in the world to construct a movie about the Sahara Desert incident and integrate all the videos circulating on the internet. It's not difficult to solve this with the current technological means. Second, it is officially announced that the Sahara Desert has been hit by meteorites. Countries attach great importance to it and classified it as a secret. Therefore, flights over the Sahara Desert will be banned and no tourists are allowed to go. Third, It is up to each country to guide new public opinion and strengthen its control over the media of their respective countries. The Secretary General of the United Nations talks freely, with a slight smile on his face. But in fact, at this moment, the leaders of the major countries all feel a little boring. This kind of thing seems to have nothing to do with the security of various countries at all. The holding of such a large-scale meeting is actually to discuss how to suppress public opinion, which is quite nonsense. I agree. The Black American president nodded in agreement. Next, countries have expressed their views. Although the claim that a meteorite fell is a bit nonsense, it is undoubtedly the best way. The meeting fell apart. The top leaders of various countries began to suppress public opinion one after another. As a result, major news websites quickly turned, and for a while, countless astronomy experts and experts from all walks of life appeared like mushrooms after a rain. For example, the United States. Someone who claims to be an astronomer. 10 years ago, I predicted that the Sahara Desert would be attacked by meteorites from outside the sky, but unfortunately, no one believed me. At this moment, meteorites are equivalent to 100 nuclear bombs and have the power to destroy the world. But we humans are fortunate. Although the meteorite exploded, the special desert environment in the Sahara created a buffer for the meteorite, as if a person jumped from a height into the sand, and the damage range was reduced. In addition, this is my 10 years. You can check the link to the previous post. The expert posted directly on his Twitter. A guy who didn't have much popularity. But when someone clicked on the link at the end, he actually found the post 10 years ago. There were all kinds of curses under the post, and countless people felt that this guy's head was broken. The most important thing is that the analysis in the link is well-founded. Therefore, a large number of people agreed with the statement of meteorite. Not only experts jumped out, but under the planning of the governments of various countries, Hollywood's most famous director Cameron also jumped out and directly held a press conference to promote the new film, Sahara Adventure, together with many big stars. Some of the promotional videos in it are exactly those that have been circulated on the internet. In the face of government pressure, major websites that previously uploaded videos have also begun to play brand new titles. Mr. Cameron spent $1 million to buy a pop-up advertisement on XX website. The most terrifying movie in history, global hype. The global people being teased. The truth turns out to be like this. A blockbuster hit on the cost of special effects for the Saharan Adventure. Almost overnight, all the news and newspapers on all websites in the world changed the direction of the wind. This kind of reversal was absolutely unexpected. Sure enough, it is the promotion of a certain movie. The lower limit is really getting lower and lower. If there were any mutant beasts, the governments of various countries would have been madly arresting and doing research and let it be made public. A bunch of idiots. After reading the news after the reversal, Yushan looked disdainful. Even WikiLeaks has started to release fake news. It is really disappointing. This website has lost its original meaning. Li Dong shook his head and looked disappointed. Many people with an IQ similar to his felt that WikiLeaks was nonsense this time, and was extremely disappointed. Of course, there are some people who see it very clearly. For example, I have always known the existence of mutant beasts. Sitting in the office, browsing the latest news, Ben's complexion became more and more gloomy. What exactly these countries are doing, whether it is mutant beasts or living plants, are invaluable treasures. Once they are thoroughly studied and the genes inside are extracted and used to transform mankind, all mankind will be improved as never before. Not only are they now completely destroyed, and spent such a big means to cover up the facts. When Ben said this, he felt a bit distressed, but even so, he didn't intend to give up. The mutant beasts would definitely not just gather in the Sahara Desert. There must be other places on the earth. The Sahara incident did not last very long. Countries take the lead. The major media contributed to the flames. In less than half a month, it was replaced by all kinds of entertainment-laced news. The Sahara incident that caused a global sensation gradually fell silent. Everyone discussed how to make more money and how to enjoy a better life. As for the families of the elite pilots who were killed by humans in the Sahara Desert, after receiving the Martyrs Medal from the state and giving a large sum of money, they are full of faith in their country grateful, and even educating in the next generation. The longest thing to say is to learn more from your father and strive to serve the motherland when he grows up. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, another 3 months passed. The impact of the Sahara nuclear explosion is becoming less and less. At the beginning, countries searched for mutant beasts around the world, but no traces were found. Then many experts analyzed that after the nuclear explosion had completely stifled those dangers, the major countries also slowly resumed normal operation. The world once again presents a posture of peace and prosperity. Human beings around the world still unscrupulously hunt and kill all kinds of beasts, peeling their skins, eviscerating their bones, drinking their blood, using various methods, and in the process, there is not the slightest disgust on their faces. On the contrary, all of them are full of smiles. Laugh. And 3.5 months later, in the dead forest, Yi-Bei, who was wrapped in a tree cocoon, suddenly sneered and opened his eyes. Host, with your current physical fitness, the nuclear radiation in the desert can no longer affect you. You can go out. The sound of the system is very calm. It is good. After 3 months of silence, Yi-Bei still vividly remembered the day when mankind launched nuclear weapons. Booming. When he spit out the letter, when the words came out of his mouth, a silver-white light burst directly from the cocoon that wrapped him, and it exploded. The next moment, Yi-Bei's body appeared on the ground, and everything around him was densely packed. Mutant beast. The azure sea constantly raised waves and made a clattering sound. Groups of white clouds and blue sky reflect each other, forming a beautiful landscape painting. Occasionally, a fishing boat passed by the sea, and when the fishermen above caught a large number of marine fish, they were full of bright smiles. Booming. Close to the Pacific Ocean, 3 dark warships equipped with a large number of weapons are undergoing military exercises, and shells are bombarding the sea, creating terrible waves. There are hundreds of warships around the warship. Since the emergence of the mutant beast, the island nation has ignored the original peace treaty and has frantically expanded its navy in recent months. I'm finally back to the human world. The first stop in the East China Sea, take back my own things, and meet my good brother Yishan, parents, and Gu Yu, and those who murdered me back then, when they all know what kind of expression I will have when I am still alive. At this moment, in the sea, a silver-white little snake with a body length of only 1 meter revealed that its head was moving fast, and a scarlet letter was spit out in its voice. The atmosphere is full of coldness. Quietly left from the Sahara Desert. Hide the entire army of mutant beasts in the dead forest. Go all the way. Yi-Bei's goal is very simple, to give all mankind an unprecedented surprise. Hey! However, just as Yi-Bei was advancing fast, trying to cross the Pacific Ocean and reach Donghai City, there was a piercing sound in the sky. Yi-Bei slightly raised his head, and a huge missile with a bright flame, fiercely towards Yi-Bei, flew over here. Call. The spiritual power field is released instantly. I saw on the deck of a battleship a man in an island nation's military uniform, holding a binoculars with cold eyes, but a bloodthirsty smile on his face. Baga! Have you seen it? It's just far away from us. 5 kilometers away, at 8 o'clock, there is a creature with its head exposed. The target point of this act is it, and fire me. Huh. The man's voice fell, and another missile was launched from the battleship. Islander? If I went to the East China Sea, I accidentally appeared in the sea area of the island country, and the target was discovered. It's really interesting. Since I took the initiative to provoke me, I just used them to move my bones. Roar. Growl broke out in his mouth. Bullet time opens directly. Click, click. The body, which was originally only 1 meter long, grew to the limit of 550 meters in the bullet time. Snapped. Staring at the 2 missiles. The tail rushed out of the sea and slapped it on the missile in an incredible posture. The majestic power was easily injected into it, and then an incredible scene happened. Not only did the 2 missiles not explode, they looked like with a lifelike, weird U-turn, rushed towards the battleship that launched it. And then, Yi-Bei's body returned to its smallest state again, entrenched directly on one of the missile heads. But 5 kilometers away, on the deck of the battleship, The island soldier in military uniform turned pale, his mouth trembling. This? How is this possible? I must be dreaming. Warship weapons monitoring room. A soldier pointed at the radar in front of him suddenly. His voice trembled. It's over. We're going to be over. It's just military acting. What's the matter? A soldier next to him muttered and looked over the radar. Then his face turned pale for an instant. Just now, it was clearly in accordance with the commander's order to attack a small target 5 nautical miles away. As a result, the missile turned its head strangely and rushed towards where they were. This? Totally beyond imagination. The missile flew back again? Is there any warship from another country here? This? Absolutely impossible. The island soldier was soaked in sweat. Immediately sound the alarm. Activate air defense. There is an enemy attack. Suddenly, the harsh sirens resounded crazily in the sea. 3 warships and more than 100 warships immediately activated all defense systems. Every second at this moment was full of oppression. Bagayalu, what happened? The commander of the fleet, Owada, wrapped in a white towel, rushed out of the room and roared. There was a young girl lying on the bed of the room with a panic expression on her face. A soldier just passed by the door. Upon seeing this, he immediately stood at attention with a nervous face. He replied very respectfully and quickly, "Sir, according to the news from the monitoring room, the Thunder missile we launched out of control and deviated from the original track, attacked our warship in the opposite direction, asking the commander for instructions." What? Impossible, impossible. It's absolutely impossible. The missile can be reversed? It must be the means of China. The missile defense system of the Annihilation must be activated immediately, and it must be defeated for me. Hi. The soldier saluted, and the order was delivered immediately. Swish, swish. Immediately afterwards, 8 interceptor missiles with long flame tails flew towards the 2 Thunder missiles. The island nation is indeed one of the only powerful nations in the world. Although it has been forbidden to expand military forces over the years, the speed of response this time is super fast. Of course, this is inseparable from the fast of the Supreme Commander Owada. Boom, boom, boom. 2 seconds later, there were 8 consecutive loud noises in the sky, and all the defensive missiles of the Annihilation exploded in the air. We failed the interception? On the deck of the battleship, the commander in military uniform was full of horror. Da-da-da. Owada, who was only wrapped in a bath towel, rushed to the deck. At this moment, his eyes were all scarlet bloodshot. A bad premonition rose from the bottom of his heart, and his mouth screamed again. Continue to intercept. Never let him come near. Our battleship. Hey! 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 Hundreds of warships, 3 warships, all of them madly launched interceptor missiles at this moment. Many of these micro-missiles are densely packed, extremely fast, with unparalleled lethality. Booming. But in the next moment, the air was blazing, and the interceptor missiles launched for the second time turned around and rushed towards the 2 warships and hundreds of warships nearby. Booming. The speed is too fast. Owada didn't even react to what happened. In the sound of an explosion like apocalypse, the 2 warships nearby, more than 100 warships, were all sunk. Some quick reaction soldiers jumped into the sea. The air is full of gunpowder, fire, and blood. How could this be? Thump. Owada knelt on the ground with a plop. The hand holding the bath towel didn't have any strength. The bath towel slipped off, and his body was exposed unobstructed. His eyes were red and his face was pale. His whole body was like a dead body. More than 100 warships were destroyed instantly, and there were 2 warships. This is all the painstaking effort of the island country, used for the mutant beasts of the other side. The direct loss reached billions of dollars. The most frightening thing is that when the accident happened, he was still lying on the woman's belly. This time it was a fluke. If he survives, he will inevitably go to a military court and end up committing suicide. Oh, Watakan, you, look at it. What is that? Next to him, on the deck of the battleship, holding a telescope, the commander, trembling with fright, pointed his finger in the air, his voice trembling. Thunder missile? Snake? This is the eight-pointed snake in our island country? God. On the deck, the other ordinary soldiers, their pupils dilated, either exclaimed or fell to the ground with a plop and kept kowtow. Owada looked up in fear. When he saw the scene in the air, the whole person was struck by lightning on the spot, shaking like crazy. He saw the sky not far away. Two thunder pierced the sky. One of the thunder tops, with a silver-white snake entrenched, sniffing out the scarlet letter, it was extremely cold, looked at him with his eyes. Provocateurs kill without mercy. The blue sky. On the sea, huge waves continue to splash. At the last moment, the two thunder missiles seemed to freeze in the air. Above the missile, Yibei's eyes were cold, without human feelings. The look in those eyes was really terrifying, as if humans were looking down at a group of ants, playfully, coldly, without any color. It's a mutant beast. They are back again. A soldier suddenly remembered the dynamic picture he saw on the internet more than 3 months ago. Among them was a small silver-white snake. At that time, someone analyzed that the snake was the king of the mutant beasts, but the soldier did not believe it. Mutated beast? How did he do it? Turning the missile and flying on top of the missile is already a godlike method. Another soldier felt that his head was not enough, and his face was shocked. God. He must be the of our island country, the legendary 8-different snake. Only it can do it. On the deck of the battleship, all kinds of sounds mixed together, and it seemed chaotic. The people of the island countries have always had an extremely strong belief in Shinto and have a strong sense of awe for anything beyond the scope of science. On the last battleship, almost all the soldiers were shocked by the sight in front of them. They knelt on the deck, yelling the 8-pointed serpent, bowing to Yibei and begging for mercy. Even the soldiers who recognized Yibei as the king of mutant beasts were the same. In this way, booming, Yibei did not directly blow up the last battleship. The two thunders exploded directly on the side of the battleship, setting off waves hundreds of meters high, and the sound of rumbling continued. Those island country soldiers on the battleship were all hummed by the loud sound. They can swear. Never before has it been so close to death. When the missile exploded, Yibei had quietly appeared on the battleship deck and slowly moved towards Owada. Owada Chigwa leaned over his body. After seeing Yibei, his pupils kept dilating, but his body ran in the direction of Yibei completely uncontrollably. Less than 2 meters away from Yibei, he knelt down with a thump kowtow. Let it go, let me go, I don't want to die. Please, please. Shivering in his mouth. Even Zayahishin is like this, especially the soldiers next to him. What's the specific location here? Also, if you are right, your island nation should not allow fleets, right? Chi-Chi. Yibei occupies half of his body. In addition, the general body is raised, his eyes are dark, and he stares at Owada coldly. Wow. And behind Yibei, a distorted space appeared directly, and that space was like a terrifying black hole, continuously releasing huge power from it. A series of miniaturized mutant pythons, lions, and monkeys quickly emerged from space. In the blink of an eye, the battleship was completely full. A lot of people from the island nation were bombed just now. There are many in the sea. Go and find yourself. You are not allowed to fight with each other. Whoever finds it first will count as whose. When the mutant beast army appeared, Yibei decisively ordered. Owada and the soldiers were all dumbfounded when they saw the large number of mutant beasts appearing in the distortion space. Report, sir, this is the East China Sea. Our island nation is bordering the sea. The reason for this military exercise is that a large number of mutant beasts appeared on the Atlantic Ocean. Our Prime Minister insisted on forging a powerful navy to protect the island nation's security. The commander next to Owada recovered a bit and said immediately, boom. Yibei lifted his tail slightly and swept toward the commander. The moment it touched, the tail became hundreds of times bigger, and the commander was convulsed with a bang. The whole person fell into the sea like a kite with a broken wire and became a wild fight for a large group of mutant beasts. Food. You. A soldier froze in place, and Yibei killed someone when he didn't agree with him. His heart almost jumped out. He stretched out his hand and pointed at Yibei. It took a long time to hold back such a word.
Puff.
However, in the next moment, Yibei's tail unceremoniously patted the soldier. The spines on the back of the tail appear. The sharp spines cut off the soldier's head with a puff. The bright red blood spewed out like a column of water. The rain of blood splashed on Owada and other soldiers nearby. The strong smell of blood spread in the air. With ah, 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 the scream resounded from the deck of the battleship. Several soldiers, under this extreme fear, raised their submachine guns at their waists and aimed at Yibei. Da-da-da. Intensive bullets fired wildly. But given Yibei's current physical condition, these bullets are no different from Lao Titikin. How is this possible? What on earth is this snake made of? Can't be shot through by submachine guns. I must be dreaming, Baga. It must be. The bullets poured out. On the battleship deck, the island soldiers who fired all showed a look of horror. It was only then that they deeply realized what a terrible monster they were facing. Ignorant humans. The body was shot, and Yibei's killing intent became deeper. While spitting out the scarlet letter, the next instant, his body directly became more than 5 meters long, and then turned into a silver-white shadow. Puff, puff, puff. At the scene, all the voices were like this. In less than 3 seconds, all the soldiers who had opened the looting were swallowed by Yibei, and there was no bone residue left. My lord, this is the East China Sea, and 10 kilometers ahead is the China Sea. We are a secret military show this time. All the surrounding areas are covered with special devices to prevent surveillance by other countries. Please, please don't kill me. No matter what questions you have, I will answer. I promise. Owada was completely frightened, and only then could he realize that Yibei was sending a message to him just now, and the commander next to him responded first, causing such a large casualty. Oh, it seems that it won't take long for me to reach Donghai City. Chi consecutively swallowed more than a dozen island soldiers, and bright red blood dripped on the deck. But Yibei seemed to have nothing happened, and his voice was hoarse and quiet. Puff. When the voice fell, the letter in his mouth curled up, and the small hutian was rolled into his mouth in a short time, and he swallowed with one mouthful, mercilessly. Yibei's movements are very skilled and natural. But after all, this is an island country's military performance. The situation here may not be detected by other countries, but the island country's prime minister has always been closely monitoring it. After the incident on the East China Sea, the island prime minister stood in front of the computer and saw the video of the feedback, with a face full of disbelief. Island country, prime minister's office. The prime minister stood in front of the computer with a gloomy look, his mouth open and his eyes wide open. He couldn't believe it. Next to the computer, there are a large number of operators. At this moment, all of these people were sweating, and their breathing was extremely rapid. Prime Minister, what should we do? Our fleet is wiped out. It's terrible. What kind of creatures are those? A manipulator trembled in his voice, turned his head, looked at the prime minister of the island country, and asked in fear. Mutated beasts, they are not dead. They are all back. Damn, our mission failed. Who? The island prime minister exhaled loudly. After reacting slightly, he yelled in fear. Use flame for the first time. Using a lot of poison for the second time. 100 nuclear explosions were directly used for the third time. If you can't kill the mutant beasts like this, then, thinking about it, I feel terrible. Prime Minister, what's the mission? So, what do we do now? The entire fleet is completely wiped out. This time our country's loss is too serious. Now we can only call for the US fleet immediately. Another operator spoke. Did you see it? On the battleship, the snake spoke just now, and immediately turned the audio up to see what it said. The voice of the island prime minister was rushing.
Yes.
Happiness. An operator quickly tapped the computer. Soon the audio was amplified. Oh, it seems that it won't take long for me to reach Donghai City. Yibei's voice reached the ears of everyone on the scene very clearly. After hearing this voice, the prime minister of the island country, who was in pain due to the loss of the battleship. His eyes lit up immediately, and his mouth couldn't help yelling. The target of the mutant beast army is not our island country, but Huaxia Kingdom. Retreat, and immediately list this matter as the top secret. Without my order, no one is allowed to leak it. Just let Huaxia Kingdom deal with them. When talking about this, the island prime minister still showed a touch of schadenfreude.
Yes.
Yes, Prime Minister.
Yes.
Those operators answer immediately. As for the Prime Minister of the island country, he just turned around and walked towards the meeting room with a few gloomy defense ministers. This matter must be taken seriously. In the meeting room, Your Excellency Prime Minister sits in the first place. Other generals also took their seats. 9 defense ministers, plus the Prime Minister, a total of 10 people. After entering the conference room, the Prime Minister squinted his eyes and did not speak. 8 of the defense ministers bowed their heads and dared not speak. In this military performance, all the island fleets were destroyed. Although they commanded at home, once this matter was exposed, these ministers would never escape responsibility. The military court is at least decided. Snapped. Only the Minister of Defense, Owano, had a cold face, like a mad dog that got out of control. In this quiet and solemn atmosphere, he slapped his hand on the conference table and made a crisp sound. 3 top warships and more than 100 warships were all destroyed by the missiles they carried. All the navies on the scene were wiped out. There was no one to survive. Our island country was helpless on such a major matter. This is definitely not the case. The style of our island country makes it necessary for the mutant beasts to attack China, but in the same way, we must also make the mutant beasts pay a heavy price for this. Owano shouted, his face twisted. Even the island prime minister's complexion was wrong, and he didn't care. Call. On the contrary, a defense minister next to him, facing this tense atmosphere, took a deep breath and then slowly spoke. Owada-kun, I can understand your feelings. The person in charge of the acting this time is your brother Owada-kun, but the mutated beasts are so powerful that we all understand that in the Sahara Desert, there were 100 nuclear bombs. They have not been wiped out. Although the loss was heavy this time, as long as they don't come to the island country, that's enough. And don't forget, now the whole world hates the mutant beasts. They go to China and treat our island country. In terms of this is an opportunity. Chance? What do you mean? Owano's forehead burst with blue veins. His voice still growled. The mutant beasts have gone to China. As long as there is a big disturbance, we can spread the news. At that time, the armed forces of the world can use the protection of human safety as a reason to enter China to hunt and kill mutant beasts. This is also the best opportunity for our island nation to expand. Compared with the loss of the fleet this time, China will face the greatest crisis. Owada's sacrifice, although regrettable, at least provides our island nation with the highest priority intelligence. Another defense minister spoke. After hearing this, Owano, who had been extremely angry, slowly calmed down. Block intelligence, withdraw all ships on the sea, and prohibit any fish hunting in the sea. Before the mutant beasts appear in China, we must not provoke them. Finally, the island prime minister stood up and said such a sentence very seriously. Obviously, he also agreed with the defense minister's words. It is very worthwhile to sacrifice all the navy of the island nation in exchange for the temporary security of the island nation and the disaster that China will face. The insidiousness and cunning of the people of the island nation was brought into full play at this moment. East China Sea. Yibei released the mutant beast group and swallowed all the soldiers of the island nation on the sea, and then recovered them back into the death forest. As for those warships, they directly used their spines to smash the middle into 2 halves and sank into the bottom of the sea. Whoosh whoosh. Obtained direction from the island country. Next, Yibei's speed increased again. The silver-white body moved forward in the sea at an incredible speed. After only an hour passed, he easily entered the East China Sea area of China from the island country, and it was only 1 kilometer away from Donghai City. The head surfaced. Putting away the spiritual power domain, he directly observed the situation in Donghai City with his naked eyes. Only 1.5 years have passed since his death. Donghai City has not changed much. There are tall buildings one after another. There is no vicissitudes of life, nor has it become unfamiliar, but everything is extremely familiar. Just now Yi Bei, because he was reborn as a snake, his senses are completely different when he looks at this prosperous city again. It's been almost 2 years. Yishan, Guyu, parents, and the company, those familiar with the company. Now, what are everyone like? Chi-Chi. On the sea, deep in Yi Bei's head, a scarlet letter spit out from his mouth. The extremely cold gaze, at this moment, was shining with extremely complicated light.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.